Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jordan Esparza Kelly from CAIR-Chicago. I am the communications coordinator. Today, we gather with families from Palestine and other advocates to demand an end to the home demolitions being carried out by Israel in the West Bank. Israel, a made up settler colony and tool of American imperialism, continues to draw and expand their own borders at will at the cost of Palestinian people. As we speak, they are demolishing homes at will because they want to grab more land. America is Israel's largest funder, and as American citizens, we must unite against this grave injustice. I would like to bring up next Nida Sahori.
Hello, my name is Deir Samit. I am a mother, a grandmother, a wife, a Palestinian American, and a clinical pharmacist that works in the Chicagoland area. When I was 18, I started going to school at one of the best Palestinian universities, USA University. But Israel closed the university, as they always close Palestinian universities and schools, while they keep all the Israeli schools open. George Wallace would have been proud of Israel's segregation and racism. And so in 1982, I came to the United States as an immigrant. So I could fulfill my dream to become a pharmacist and help people. The tiny Palestinian village I grew up in, Sinjil, where I spent my childhood, is being sieged, destroyed, and its land is getting annexed by Israel. Israel has built a barbed wire fence as high as our two-story house, which traps my family and thousands of Palestinians in the village, making it impossible to get to work, shop for groceries, or even get to a hospital. Please show the first video, number 5. This is the wire that's built in front of my house, and it surrounds the whole village of Sinjil. It just cut our driveway. Totally, we can't leave the house. Now we have to go down from the village to go to the house. Now we can't drive in. So imagine walking out of your home to find a barbed wire fence that closed your driveway when you're trying to get to work or to go to school. This is everyday life for Palestinians, surrounded by soldiers, fences, surveillance. We know this is about racism. No, we know this is about segregation, not about security. Last summer, our house was destroyed by Israeli soldiers. Please take a look at the second video. My mother-in-law used to go to get so mad when someone gets her pillows and throw them. When my kids get the pillowcases and throw them at each other, and now everything is on the ground. I cried when I saw the Israeli soldiers invaded our home, broke our windows, destroyed the sink and plumbing, smashed our belongings and cabinets, and threw everything on the ground. I cried. I hated my mother-in-law. I thought she would die if she sees that. And we know this is about racism and segregation because my family and other Palestinians in the village are only allowed to have water once a week, while Israelis are allowed to have water 7 days a week, and we have swimming pools right next to us in the settlement. Our family has been growing olive trees for hundreds of years, and in order to do this fence, 18 of our olive trees were uprooted, and so many, like hundreds from the rest of the village. So we couldn't make any olive oil that we usually need for our family from these trees. And it's not only my family. This American kid, Saif, was beaten to death for 3 hours by an Israeli lynch mob in my village, and no Israeli was arrested. And this didn't start yesterday. It didn't start last summer or the summer before. 30 years ago, my cousin, my first cousin, Fathi Sahouri, a father of five, was driving home, took from work, when Israeli settlers threw an explosive device into his car that killed him, and no Israeli was arrested. And now I'm watching mothers like Renee Good and thousands of immigrants' families being destroyed or killed by ICE. While I hear my elderly patients that I counsel as a pharmacist here at home tell me they cannot afford their medications. So I'm here to ask my Congressman Bill Foster, what are you doing to protect my neighbors from ICE? And what are you doing to protect my family from Israel? And what are you doing to make sure that my patients here at home afford their medications that they can't afford? Because it's all connected. In 2023, the Congress passed a bill, the BIRD bill, which is Binational Industrial Research and Development Program, that spends $165 billion to train ICE agents in Israel. ICE agents are trained in Israel. So Israel is teaching ICE agents to do to Americans what they have been doing to my family and millions of Palestinians for decades. If we want ICE to stop, if we want to stop spending, we need to stop sending money to Israel. And then maybe, just maybe, my patients will be able to afford their medicine that they need. I'm waiting for you for your call, Representative Bill Foster, or will you wait until ICE build barbed wire fences around American cities too? Rest in peace, Renee Good. Rest in peace, Keith Porter. Rest in peace, Luis Beltran, Yanis Cruz. And rest in peace, Saif Musalat. You will not be forgotten. We will keep fighting for justice in Chicago and in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for that very wide picture you painted for all of us. As you can see and hear from elders, this is definitely not any kind of new phenomenon. And um, she is working in healthcare, and while people suffer here from the healthcare system, right, uh, the federal government continues to send our money that should be put into our people to Israel, essentially funding this oppression, funding this apartheid, funding this land displacement. I would like to bring up next Lynn Pollock.
Hello. My name is Lynn Pollock, and I'm here today to save my Palestinian friend, Mona, and her village, Deir Samit, which is in near the West Bank city of Hebron. I personally have been to the West Bank 5 times and seen firsthand the racist, segregated, Jewish-only Israeli settlements where Palestinians like Mona are not allowed to live or even enter. On my visits, I have enjoyed the generous hospitality, amazing hospitality, extended to me, a Jewish woman, by my Palestinian hosts. Mona has stayed at my house quite a few times. We've become friends. I've learned about her family's struggle to survive for over 75 years under Israel's racist laws. Recently, right-wing Israeli Minister Smotrich announced they would build 3 new illegal settlements that would completely surround Mona's village. These Israeli settlements would block Mona and her family from reaching the main road, preventing them from traveling for work or to buy groceries or even get to a hospital. Palestinians like Mona do not have equal rights in the West Bank. Palestinians are not allowed to use the same roads as Israeli. It's like living in the Jim Crow South. Separate, but definitely not equal. People in Mona's village have been struggling to provide food for their families, and she told us about neighbors, including toddlers, who've been rooting through garbage piles in order to find a scrap of food to eat. So a bunch of us, including my friend Sarah here, are adopting Mona's village as our own. And we've made a website to sell these beautiful embroidered items like this necklace, which I'm wearing, and all these items here, which are quite beautiful. And so this website is a place where you can buy these embroidered items and help support the women of the village. With the money we raise, we are hoping that this will sustain Mona and her neighbors until they get equal rights to water, to electricity, to walk on the same road, to get to work, and most importantly, the right to vote. And Mona's family is in physical danger. Just last week, Mona's 50-year-old cousin, a woman, was beaten by Israeli soldiers. Her niece and her family were forcibly thrown out of their house in a nearby village. Israel has already dropped off materials to start building these new segregated Jewish-only settlements. And if they're built, Mona and her neighbors will be completely surrounded, isolated, and forced to leave their homes for the third time in 75 years. Last year, Israeli settlers forced out and displaced more than 40 Palestinian villages, all with our tax dollars. So I'm calling upon Representative Schakowsky, my representative, Senators Durbin and Duckworth, to pick up the phone and call the State Department and demand that these plans to build these settlements are halted. And also call the Israeli consulate to make the same demand. And also to stop signing bills that fund Israel.
Thank you. Up next, I would like to bring up Leah Nissan. She will be speaking on pogrom-style settler attacks and land destruction in Al-Mughayyir.
Hello, my name is Leah Nassim. His olive trees that were destroyed by the Israelis. I worry about my grandpa's safety because Israeli settlers have been attacking our village for years and are still to this day. My grandpa was devastated when one of the young Palestinian men who he worked with, Saeed al-Massan, was shot and killed by Israeli settlers a month ago for protecting his house. My aunt's house was vandalized and attacked by Israeli mobs who set her car on fire. And here's a video to show that. And they left threatening graffiti on the homes in our village, including this one. Death to Arabs. Please, look at these heavily armed Israeli settlers as they force their way onto our neighbor's property and empty out their rain barrel so this Palestinian family now has no water to drink or wash or feed their animals, which is the income for their family. We have a video here. Listen, Palestinians, they're not allowed to have weapons. So we can't defend ourselves against these racist mobs. My grandpa's livelihood was now destroyed because the Israeli government cut down 1,600 of his olive trees, which was his main source of income. My grandpa took pictures of Israeli settlers stealing his olives, but the government, they did nothing to stop them. And now, Israel has banned my grandpa from harvesting the rest of his olives. Olives that take years to grow. If my grandpa tries to cross to get to his olives, he can be shot by an Israeli soldier because these roads are not only segregated, Palestinians are not allowed to walk or drive. These Israeli mobs have also killed my uncle's horses and sheep. Mind you, these are the Palestinians' income through the sheep and through their land. I mean, I feel helpless. Like, when I watch what's happening to my family, my representative, Sean Casten, you should push Israel to stop the violent attack on these Palestinian villages. I also make embroidery, Palestinian tatreez, to support families in Palestine, to raise money. And to share some of my work, I will be showing them on the table as well.
Thank you, Leah. I would like to bring up next Sarah from Evanston for Free Palestine, ally advocating for Palestinian villages under attack, including Deir Samit.
"63 years ago today, on January 14th, 1963, the famous racist Alabama governor, George Wallace, announced segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. But Americans refused George Wallace's segregation and racism, and for decades, we have fought for freedom and equality. My name is Sarah. I am a Chicago mom of two amazing Muslim kids. I am horrified by Trump's announcement that he is cutting federal funding to Chicago, but we will fight, and we will win. And just as Chicagoans fight to protect our friends and family from segregation and racism here, from ICE in Little Village just a few miles away, we also fight against segregation and racism in a village being attacked 6,000 miles away. Our friend Mona lives in a little Palestinian village called Deir Samit. We love Mona. My son calls her Auntie Mona, and she has often stayed with us and many other friends in the Chicago community. Mona says her house shakes every time Israel drops a bomb on Gaza because she lives only an hour away in the West Bank. But the danger is now even closer. Mona was shot at by Israeli soldiers, and her elderly cousin was dragged out of her house and beaten. Israel has cut off the village, so Mona and her family are not even allowed to get to work. Now they have no income. Israel kicked Mona's family off their property 77 years ago and has never allowed them to return to their farmland. And now, Israel has announced the building of 3 segregated settlements which will surround and further cut off Mona's village from the outside world. As we fight here in Chicago, we use awareness, action, and embroidery. Mona and the women in her community make beautiful hand-embroidered items, which you can get by making a donation to support her village and other Palestinian villages. It could take a week to make this little pouch or a month to make this gorgeous tapestry. Mona's embroidery is part of Palestinian tradition and part of the Palestinian economy. Embroidery is a great first step, but it cannot be the last. So Chicago, we have to blow the ice. Chicago, we have to blow the whistle on ICE to protect our neighbors. We have to keep fighting segregation and racism, and we have to protect Mona and these Palestinian villages. Let's say no to Israel's attacks and no to their illegal segregated settlements. You can support these families by going to savethevillages.com and pick out your favorite embroidered piece in the fundraiser. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, I would like to bring up William Asghor, a Chicago resident with family surviving in tents in Gaza amid ongoing aid restrictions. William's family is trying to survive Israel's genocide in Gaza. His family is freezing in tents because Israel is still not allowing aid groups to bring in enough food or basic supplies into Gaza. Recently, 6 children froze to death, and William is worried for the safety of his family.
Good morning. My name is William Asghor. My last name is spelled A as in Sam, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, F as in Frank, O-U-R. I'm a Chicago accountant, and my family is from Gaza. If you think it's cold here in Chicago, think about my family living outside in the cold in Gaza in tents, while their tents are being blown away by the harsh winters, the rain, the winds, all because Israel bombed every single one of my family's houses. In the past few weeks alone, 6 kids died of hypothermia in Gaza because Israel won't allow mobile homes in or winter supplies. I just want to make it clear that Trump lied to us. There is no ceasefire in Gaza because Israel is bombing every single day. Let me say that again. There is no ceasefire in Gaza because Israel is bombing every single day. They've killed over 500 Palestinians since the so-called. So just a few weeks ago, our neighbors' kids, they're 8 years old, 11 years old, they were looking for firewood for their disabled father, only to be killed by Israeli drones. And Israel justified it by calling them terrorists. These are an 8-year-old boy and an 11-year-old boy, because they crossed the so-called yellow line. Now, my 11-year-old cousin, Abdul Hakim, pictured here, was shot in the stomach by Israeli forces while trying to get aid for his family. And my other cousin here, Yusuf Al-Banza, he was shot 4 times in his legs while trying to get a bag of rice for my widowed aunt and his 4 younger siblings. So Yusuf actually survived an attack early October of 2023. This attack killed his father, his uncle, and his cousins. So he was severely injured, and due to Israel's blockade, there's a lot of medical neglect in Gaza because they won't allow any supplies in, including food and water, such basic necessities that we take for granted, not being allowed into a whole population. We call that collective punishment. This is a war crime. So Yusuf, injured October 2023, was also shot at this past summer while trying to get aid for his family. Imagine your family living through the most documented genocide in history. Imagine your family living through a live stream genocide. How are you able to sleep and function throughout the day? Living in a country that supports what's going on to your family by your tax dollars and diplomatic support. So to be clear, Israel has wounded and or killed members of my family in 2008, 2009, 2012, 2014, 2021, and now 2023 and onward to this day. So Gaza was the world's largest open-air prison since June of 2007. And there's a complete blockade on it. Israel's cutting off all humanitarian aid and impacting everyone's life. So I call on my congressman, Sean Casten, to Block the Bombs Act to stop sending bombs to Israel. This should be common sense. And I've spoken to his people, and they keep telling me, hey, we're pushing for humanitarian aid. How about you stop sending the weapons that are killing people? Can we do that too? We're not going to take crumbs. Stop killing people. It should be obvious. So thank you so much.
Thank you, William. To summarize, as you've heard from everyone here, there is immense violence happening right now in Palestine by Israel on a governmental and settler level, okay? This is happening systemically, and America is the biggest funder of said violence. What everyone here is gathering to say is stop funding Israel and to immediately end the demolitions and land expansion that is currently taking place in the West Bank. So thank you all for joining us. Is there any follow-up questions?
Trump claims to have stopped many wars, including apparently this one. What would you say in response to that?
Everything we just said for the past 35 minutes. There is no ceasefire. And even if there was a ceasefire in Gaza, what is a ceasefire in Gaza with the violence in the West Bank? What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. Trump is a liar. He was elected for being a liar, and Americans who support him champion him for his lies. They are eating a diet of his lies.